Alright, 17. Which transformation will carry the rectangle shown below onto itself? So here's our rectangle, and we want to know, is it a reflection, a slide, or a translation, or is it a rotation? So those are the three main types of transformations. Those are actually the isometries where it doesn't change the actual size or shape. Okay, so it's a rectangle, it's not a square, and I can count the units, but I can tell right away it's definitely rectangular, it's not a square, because the length is greater than the width. Alright, so a square I could take every quarter turn, I could turn it a quarter turn or 90 degrees and it would be over onto itself, but that doesn't work for a rectangle because this one's going to be longer than it is wide, so if I turn it a quarter turn, that's not going to be over onto itself. So it's not going to be either C or D just based on what we just talked about, because it would take 180 degrees, so that would be a quarter turn, and then if I want another quarter turn, then it would be back onto itself, and then 270 I'd be back here again because that's another quarter turn, and then 360 now I'm back onto itself. So it's definitely not C or D. That would only work for a square. So now it's between A and B. So which reflection is going to put it over onto itself? Well, this diagonal, a reflection over line M, if I were to fold that, I think you can see that if I just take this and let's see if I can't just turn it. There we go. Okay, I want you to look at this. If I were to fold this, and you can turn your paper, it would look something like this, where that endpoint would fold over onto itself. So it's not in the same position. And same thing over here. That point would be over here. Alright, so it's definitely not going to fold over onto itself at that line because it's a rectangle. Alright, so we've already eliminated A, C, and D, and you may be tempted just to pick B, but let's just prove B. Let's take a second. So I'm going to count these units. So it's up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which means I could cut it in half, and at 5 units, so that would be right here, at 5 units, that should be able to fold over onto itself. So in other words, that point would fold over onto this point, that point onto this point, and I think you can see that pretty easily, that line, which is y equals 1, it's always up 1, is our winner. So it is B. And that's helpful because there's only 2 lines of symmetry here. They could have also said x equals, it looks like maybe 2. I'd have to count those, but maybe it's between. It's somewhere like right about there, where there's a vertical line of symmetry as well. So there's only 2 lines of symmetry for a rectangle. So they could have said x equals, I don't know, 1.5. I'd have to count them.